morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Susan Moore. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at IIBA, and I'd like to welcome everyone today to our webinar, Empower Your Next Virtual Workshop with No Additional Technology. That's John Chen that you see there, who's our DJ today, but also he's going to talk about this. So we're pretty excited. I'm going to do a couple of quick housekeeping notes, and then I'm going to introduce John and turn it over to him. So we are recording today's session. You will get a link to the recording within 24 hours. There is not a slide deck to share, but I think at the end, John's got some giveaways, some things that we're going to give you so you can continue the learning. Keep on using chat. You guys are doing a great job talking to each other and talking to us. We're going to be taking questions throughout, and I think there might, I don't know, John, you might be promoting a couple of other folks to panelists. This is going to be interactive, so we'll be answering your questions throughout the session. Finally, you've already found the reactions button, but John can see those. And so if you hear something that you like, you can let him know. Let's see. So let me tell you a little bit about John. He's a recognized thought leader on engaging virtual meetings. He has won numerous awards and worked with hundreds of thousands of clients all over the country and internationally. And if you haven't already guessed, he's a pretty dynamic and energetic person. I really like his musical taste, by the way, I might add. He's going to help you and your team become the top 1% of what you do. He's also the 25-year CEO of Engaging Virtual Meetings. He is also an author of 2 books, Engaging Virtual Meetings and 50 Digital Team Building Games, both top business selling books. IIBA members, you can find both of those books for free in our online digital library. That's a benefit to you. And if you are not currently an IIBA member, just know that you get an online digital library benefit as well as many others. And I'll pop a link in if you want to find out more about membership. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to John.
All right, everyone, go ahead and go to click reactions applause for the one and only Susan Moore. Oh, look at that. Thank you for all the applause. You can see that here in my bottom corner. Well, thank you so much for that, Susan. Again, I'm John Chen. I'm the author of a little book called Engaging Virtual Meetings. And today you're in a program called Empower Your Next Virtual Workshop with No Additional Technology. All right. Oh, look at all this. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for all the hearts that are coming through here, too. And hello. Oh, yes, Linda from Portland, Oregon. Now, this is a special feature. You may have not seen this here. All right, so I love that you found the reactions, and I love that you found the chat. So you can participate that way. And for those who would like to, we said we want to empower your next virtual workshop. Even if you're in a webinar, right? One of the things that we like to do is find different ways to empower. And with that, if you can also find then the reactions, raise hands. Again, go to the bottom, click reaction, raise hands. If you'd like to be promoted up here to panelist, right? So let's see. We already have one of our amazing past board members. Barbara, do you mind just coming on camera for just a moment? Thank you, Barbara. There we go. Hey, Barbara. Again, where are you calling in from today, Barbara?
I am in Torrevieja, Spain.
You're in Spain?
I am in Spain. I'm living in Spain now, and I can do this because I do all my work remotely.
Wow.
So this topic is very close to my heart.
Wow. Doesn't it feel empowering to be able to like literally be anywhere in the world?
It is amazing. We've been traveling throughout Europe, and we now got a digital nomad visa in Spain, which allows us to stay here for a while and work from here.
I didn't even know that existed. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a lot of countries are offering it now.
Well, yeah. I mean, they could take the people, they can take the money, right? They can take the work.
Right.
My favorite city in the world is Barcelona, right? Barcelona.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
What's your favorite city in Spain?
Oh, that's a hard one, John. We've been traveling around. Of course, Madrid is wonderful. Granada with the Alhambra is a really neat place.
Right.
Down in the south, there's a place called Marbella, Malaga. We're now on the East Coast, Alicante. We haven't found one place that we haven't liked yet.
Super. So thank you so much, Barbara. For those who raise their hand, again, if Jenny and Susan can help you, just click promote for them. Some of you will come up here on stage like me and Barbara. So me and Barbara here, I just want to share too, Barbara, the outline of this thing. Right. So Barbara, have you ever heard of an author named Elizabeth Gilbert?
Yes. Eat, Pray, Love, right?
Yeah, Eat, Pray, Love. So that book sold 16 million copies and had Julia Roberts play her in the movie.
Right.
And so the genesis of this talk is that I got the chance to be the producer for Elizabeth Gilbert. Right?
Oh, cool.
She had this amazing setup, perfect lighting, right? Perfect background. Actually, the funny part, Barbara, is that the only thing I helped her as her producer is that she sounded like she was in the shower when we met in rehearsal. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I said to her, do you have a professional USB mic? And she goes, oh yeah, hold on a sec. So she trumps off out of her video and then comes back and she goes, she mean like this? And it is a professional grade USB mic. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, right? It's like, plug it in. And so, it went from, right, sounding something like this, that she came in and she goes, how does this sound? And the whole place fell over, right? It was all of us in rehearsal. And so the reason why I'm talking about this today, Barbara, is that although somebody gave the comment, right, that Susan needs to get one of these mics. This is what it is, too, especially if you are one of the presenters. People have to listen to you over the next 60 minutes. So your audio quality really does matter. And the second part that she did that blew me away is that Elizabeth Gilbert was so good in this keynote that somebody 38 minutes into the keynote said and chatted, I feel like I'm having a one-on-one with Elizabeth Gilbert in an Italian cafe.
That's great.
And then I looked over at the attendees list. There were 650 people logged on, Barbara.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
So here's the key, Barbara. First we were blown away. And then the second part is going like, how do you do that? Because she didn't do anything. She never once shared her screen. She never once ran a poll, right? She never used any of these technical tricks. What I'm going to tell you, Barbara, I'm the first to lean on a technical trick to buy engagement, right? And so for a year, like I was intimidated going, I don't know, like how would I do that? But the key here is that me and a dozen other trainers, facilitators, speakers tore apart her keynote. And we found 8 things that she does better than anybody else. So I'm going to share with you today, Barbara, those first 8 things about how to empower your next virtual workshop, right, with no additional technology. Right? So, Barbara, let me just ask too, even though you're a nomad, right, you're out here, are you a little burned out on the technology? In other words, like, do you really want to like find more lights or more, anything like that? So, Barbara, are you a little burned out on technology?
Yeah, I need some new ideas. I think the polls and, kind of the Q&A that we've done is getting a little bit stale. So yeah, I'm looking forward to your 8 things.
So the best part of 2 right now, and thank you, Barbara, for being up here, is that you're demonstrating the first point. So the acronym is V answers, the letter V and the answers. I put it in the chat here too, so I know we have a very international audience here with us. And the V, Barbara, is for vulnerability. Right? Like Barbara just shared a little bit of vulnerability, saying, you know what, all right, yeah, I need some new stuff. I'm like, I know that you got a base level, but you know that you could be up leveling.
Yes.
And the best part is that Elizabeth Gilbert, from the beginning, gave a piece of vulnerability, right? This keynote was February 2021. She comes out and she gets introduced. She goes, I'm just going to tell everybody right now, I'm in my yoga pants. The whole place laughs, right? And so she just gave a piece of vulnerability inside of there. Later on, she actually gave the biggest piece of vulnerability, I thought, though, Barbara. And she said, what's not scary is writing a best-selling book. What's really scary is writing the book after the best-selling book.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. You know what that's like, John.
Well, I've got 2 books. I do have 2 books, but I don't think I have a 16 million
no,
to follow.
But you do know how hard it is. The second one, I've written some books, and you do kind of wonder, do I have anything more to say?
Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah. So, Barbara, I don't know if you know this too. The second book she wrote, and she wrote it on deadline. It was like she finished on time. But she went to her publisher and she goes, I finished the book and I'm not giving it to you. It's because she didn't believe in the book. What happened was is that the pressure from writing
Right.
the second book influenced the book so much that she wrote something that she felt at the end was not in her voice, was not something she could stand behind. And so she held it for 2 years. Could you imagine, Barbara?
No, no.
Right? Like I'm on time. I've delivered both of my books on time or before the deadline as an author. And so to stand up to your author and just go like, I'm not giving you my book, even though I finished it.
Wow.
She did that. And then once she released the second book, she finally got to the mental place too, saying it's not my job to write a bestseller. It's my job to write the book that represents me the best.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first one is vulnerability. Barbara, before you go, do you have any other examples of how to demonstrate vulnerability like in a virtual meeting?
The one thing that I've tried really hard because I had done a lot of facilitation in person is if I feel like things are a little bit out of control, I'll try to be honest with my group and say, I feel like we're a little out of control. I'm not sure where to go from here. And I always try to trust the group to help me figure the way out of that. It's hard. It's frightening to do that and admit that, you're not in charge. But I think it's honest. So that's my one hint.
Thank you so much, Barbara, because you're going to lead me to my next point. But everyone, go to the chat and say thank you, Barbara, or you can go to reactions and give her some love, give her a heart. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
And again, greetings to Spain. Look at the heart flood. You're getting a heart flood here. So
I love it. That's great. Thank you.
So the next point that we get here too is the authenticity. That's the A. The A is authenticity. And I love that Barbara came up here and again shared some of her authenticity with each of you. And in that authenticity is kind of like writing that book. That book was not authentic to her. And so if you try and come here to a virtual meeting and present without your authenticity, right, I think you're missing a key part. People know the difference between like if you're reading a script and if you're just really here. So what I love to tell people all the time now is that authenticity trumps perfection. I'll say that again. Authenticity trumps perfection. That if you come here and you be yourself, that you're with people, sometimes they even make omissions about what's going on. I think that's what virtual attendees want more of than that you presented the perfect program, right? That you have the perfect slide. And most of you know, like in business analysis, that being honest, like what Barbara said, being honest is going to be worth so much more than being slick. Than being slick. Oh, I love the chat. Chat said, I started my BA career reading Barbara's book. Oh, look at that, Barbara. You're getting a shout out. 7 Steps to Mastering Business Analysis. Yeah, thank you, Scott. So the authenticity, again, is such a key part that she said. So now if some of my other friends who are here, I do know that we have about a good collection of us here up in panelist station. So Christiane, do you mind if I bring you up? You can just shake your head, yes? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Christiane's here with us. Hey, Christiane. Remember to unmute. Let's see. I may not be able to unmute you myself, but let's see if you can do it.
Sorry.
Hey. Where are you calling in from today?
I'm in Brussels in Belgium. Do you know where that is?
Yes. I love Brussels.
And we have a Belgian branch of IIBA. And every Friday we have this international meeting on Zoom that was created because of COVID. But then we enjoy it so much that we keep doing it. So every Friday at noon, you've got people from Belgium, from Omaha, Nebraska, Kansas City, Missouri, Dallas, Texas, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Minsk in Belarus, and so on.
And so on. Look at that. Susan Moore, of course, says the BA Cafe rocks. Christiane, when I say the word authenticity, what does that mean to you?
not being an actor, not imitating someone else, speaking the truth, handling the situation as it is instead of doing a show.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so easy sometimes in presentations to get into show mode, right? As opposed to authenticity mode. Christiane, what is something that you do in your virtual meetings, right, to show your authenticity?
Well, basically, I'm a teacher, so I pay attention to my vocabulary. I make sure that people understand me, that I use vocabulary in a consistent way, that my story is relevant to them, especially if they are not IT people. That's what I pay attention to. But I'm sure that I'm a teacher that people understand. But now I would like to learn a bit more about how speakers do it to make the program, to make the meeting interesting, engaging.
What do you? So I know we're only 60 minutes in, but what's something that you've seen that you really like so far in this meeting, Christiane?
Well, I was tempted to listen. I was paying attention to you and Barbara. So I wasn't analyzing what you were doing. I was just paying attention.
Oh, well, there's secret number one is that right, just like Susan said, I'm demonstrating every single piece that I'm talking about. So that's really one of the other keys is that you should be able to, if now from this moment on. So Christiane, by the end of this meeting, why don't you do me a favor? Will you chat at least once if you can like see something that I'm trying to demonstrate? Is that okay?
Oops, I'll try. I can promise to pay attention, but I don't usually analyze what the person is doing, but I'll try.
Wait, you're an IIBA. Aren't you a business analyst?
Yeah, checking. But right now I'm a student. I'm a person eager to learn something.
And
it's like watching movies. When I watch movies, I don't analyze the movie.
Oh, I watch movies very differently. Now, Christiane, it sounds like, though, you were a teacher in your past life. Was that correct?
Yes, I'm a business analyst, and when the new software is ready, then I teach the users.
Oh.
And these are usually administrative people, and so I make my course in Dutch and French, and then I teach it.
Fantastic. I used to work at Microsoft for a decade, Christiane, so I did spend some of my time teaching software. So the last piece, Christiane, what do you think is most important when you go to teach somebody a new piece of software?
You have to know your audience and you have to explain how the new software is going to help them in their work. And hopefully the new software is better than the previous software that they had, or else I'm in trouble.
Yeah, it's nothing better than teaching a piece of software that's worse, right?
It causes big trouble, and especially when you have merger or acquisition, then some people are angry because they say our old software was better, and they bear a grudge for the next 10 years.
Outstanding. Christiane, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate you. From Belgium. So that's, again, authenticity is one of the pieces. So we have now vulnerability and authenticity. So David, thanks for coming up here. David, do you mind if I bring you up? You can just shake your head yes. Oh, good. Here we go. So let's see. We've got David. Hey, David. Where are you calling in from?
So I'm from East Lothian, which is just outside Edinburgh in Scotland.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I saw you chat Scotland early on there. Is that like a rocket launch in the back? I see a shuttle and I see
this is my authenticity. I am a complete and total nerd, which comes from my IT background. And yes, that's all my Lego.
Outstanding. And Eric, thank you for the chat. Loving the conversational aspect of this. By the way, David, if you're this kind of space nerd, have you ever seen a SpaceX rocket launch?
Not in person, but I will be glued to. I think he's now only showing them on X, formerly known as Twitter, which is a new thing for him. But yeah, I'm waiting Starship launch eagerly.
So I was speaking at a conference in Orlando, Florida, which is very close to where the launch platform is. And so my coworker goes, "Hey, there's a SpaceX rocket launching today." And he just thought, like, let's go see it, like we'd go to the beach or something and go see it. But no, right? When you hang out with me, David, is that I went to NASA's website and I found out you can buy a ticket and you can get the closest that you can as a civilian if you go to the NASA. There's a museum there and a launch center. And it was a midnight launch. And let me just tell you, right, while it was night, and it's the light, right? So that, the one the rockets ignite, it's the light. My friend said, it's not the light that got me. It's the sound.
Yeah.
The sound is so deafening that it felt like his pants were like wavering, right, from the energy and the force coming off of that. And it is one of the most spectacular things I have ever seen, David.
Sounds awesome.
That sounds awesome. So speaking of awesome, let's do this. Let's think of some awesome things. So the next piece here, the N, is names, right? And names is so important to use. So something as simple as, right? Oh, yes, of course, you're David from Scotland, right? When you insert somebody's name inside of there, this is what was it? Dale Carnegie said, right? The sweetest word in in all human languages is somebody's name. And so it's one of the best ways to create a connection with your audience. And so even here, so many people have asked me, how do I deal with people multitasking, right? Now, I know none of you would be multitasking, but some of you might be, and it's okay. Thank you, Linda Carter, for the chat. So here's one of the best ways, right, David, if you are presenting and you want to make sure that somebody's paying attention, but you don't really want to call somebody out. Right. So, David, here, I'm going to demonstrate. So, David, go to the attendees list. If you can open up the attendees list, I want you to pick one of the names out of the 200. It'll sound something like this. This is such a great webinar that we're already having, David, right? And I know that Chunji Cook is going to probably chat something amazing in about 3 or 4 minutes. But David and I are going to continue on talking about names. So do you know what happens? Like, David, let's say like you're Chunji, right? Let's say you're Chunji and we're multitasking, right? What happens when I say the word Chunji here? And whew, right?
Yep.
I will come back to the computer going, who's saying my name? What are they asking me to do?
Yep. And you can always tell them whether they're listening when they go, I'm sorry, could you just clarify what you were asking? That's usually the giveaway that they were doing something completely different.
I love Helen. Moi? Multitasking? Never. Okay, so do me a favor. I want to see David's version of this. Anybody in the 200 attendee list?
Abigail Pra, because you're sitting nice and towards the top of the list.
No, use her
for the mispronunciations.
Use her name like in a sentence. So again, you're not calling on Abigail. By the way, Abigail, hi.
Okay.
But you want to use Abigail in a sentence, but without actually directly calling her. Does that make sense, David?
Yeah. So just to get Abigail's views on what we were talking about, and lo and behold, she has replied.
Yeah, look at that. See how amazing that is, David? You use a name and you get like instant engagement. And now Shara is like so glad my mom gave me a name that starts with Z. And let's jump to the bottom of the list, right? Who's we have no Z's today, but we've got a Yasser. We got a Y. Okay, so David, let's do this. What are the greatest things you've seen in a virtual meeting? So I want everyone to go to chat, right? But by the way, this is something called Chatterfall. David, have you ever used something called Chatterfall?
No.
So first of all, I want you to chat something great that's happened in a virtual meeting. Now, the key here is do not hit enter yet. Okay? So I want you to type something and then give me a reaction. Oh, actually, you can reactions raise hand since nobody has their hand up now. So when you're done, click raise hand. So for instance, I have raised my hand. There we go. So get a chat done. All right. Click raise hands. When I get a good collection of people, then we do it. So David, here's how Chatterfall works.
Yeah.
Number one is that when you count to 3 and you hit enter, everyone will chat at the same time. And what's great about it too is the second piece is that based on the number of people who chatted, right, you can actually see who's with you, right, at that point. And then number 3, what I want you to do, David, is to read a good collection of them. You don't have to read them all, but when you read them, and then read them with their names. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And David, here, do us a favor so we're modeling here too. Go ahead and click reactions, raise hand for you. I'm assuming you type something. So do you see reactions?
But I shall do so right now.
Yeah. Go ahead, type something, and then click reactions, raise hand when you're done. Thank you, Amanda. Oh, by the way, here, there's a new feature that cannot be turned off, which says that you raise your hand, and then it says if you talk and you stop talking, it will lower your hand automatically. It is a new Zoom feature, which we determined has been a bug. Okay, David. All right, everybody who's on virtual, you're going to hit enter on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hit enter. Yeah, see, check that out, David. And now, David, do me a favor. Yeah, read a collection.
Yeah, I mean, Nicole Cotton's put up a great one. Whiteboards. Love me a whiteboard. From Top Sani, recording. As an analyst, I love going back to recordings and highlighting where people have told me things that they then deny with great energy. Ishara, yeah, they laughed at my joke. Always try and open with a joke. I think that kind of hits with being vulnerable as well, because when it's a bad joke and it falls flat, nothing worse. And Sarah, people chewing their lunches in your face.
Okay, you got to read Katrina's. Do you see Katrina's chat?
Oh, I haven't seen it come up.
Scroll back up. It's long. Yeah, that's the hint.
Oh, yeah. So from Katrina, had a person fall down as they were walking around their house, didn't have their camera or had headless phones on, but we could hear the fall and the cursing. That's awesome. Health and safety would have a field day with that.
So, David, you know what's funny about that, and reading some of these chats too, like one of the common themes is that most of the best stuff that happens on virtual is like the not planned stuff.
Yeah.
The accidents, right? And that's really true. Like, so that I think that improv really is a key part here inside of that, and that's the authenticity, right? We're humans, right?
Yeah.
We can fall. And it's still universally funny as long as they weren't really hurt.
And I think that authenticity hits home when you're looking for people to bring their whole selves to any piece of work. That's the way you get the best out of individuals. Hence why, I've got my background. And to Susan's question, it's not a Bronco, it's a Land Rover.
Ooh, of course.
Oh, yeah. But it's about, that's how people generate the best ideas, when they're feeling comfortable in their own skin in an environment where, it's supportive for all.
Dave,
and using names to if we're in a session, using people's names to give them credit for generating something as well is a great way of fostering that inclusivity.
And David, that inclusivity here is the key, is that once somebody contributes once, the odds of them contributing again or deeper goes way up. So, David, here's the bonus point. It's not on my list, but if I say the words psychological safety, what do they mean to you?
It's a great one. It's creating an environment where you can set some boundaries around positive reinforcement for people, that it's a safe space for sharing any idea. And you can get people to sign up to, I typically use it when I'm setting up agile teams, set up a team charter so that that whole project is an area of psychological safety where people can contribute without fear of kind of ridicule.
And so Google, if you haven't seen it, David, have you heard of Google's research called Google Aristotle?
I have not.
Ooh, okay.
I'm multitasking now by writing that down.
Yes. If somebody can find the link for it, just search Google Aristotle and there will be a link to the research. David, Google studied the top performing teams, right, at Google for 18 months. And they said, what do we have in common? Right? What are the top teams? And some of the teams were wildly different. Some of them are structured, made all their deadlines.
Yeah.
The other teams are like crazy, look like they're out of control, and they ship a miracle at the end.
Yeah.
But the thing that they all have in common is not the manager, not the composition of the team, not how much they paid them, not the office they gave them, not the equipment they gave them. But it turns out the number one factor, and they give 5, by the way, the number one factor they gave them was psychological safety. Defined as, I feel safe taking a risk in front of my team. So, David, I just want to say thank you to you for having enough
Thank you.
psychological safety here for, coming on and sharing. And this background is extraordinary too. By the way, a lot of people chatted in here, and they just said they really appreciated and loved your authenticity for giving that. And David, I'll leave the one piece. This is a tip for all you who are presenters, right? At the end of your talk, just say, "Thank you for inviting me into a piece of your home today." Because that's what was really happening in the pandemic, right? Is you get this small video slice of everybody's home, and it was really fantastic to see a lot of those things. Excellent. Thank you, David.
Perfect. Thanks very much indeed.
Cheers. So good. So now we're on to names. So the next one is S. And S is see the audience. See the audience. So if you are presenting, by default, I love to present in meeting mode. Right? And then I love to encourage people. It's not a requirement, but I love to encourage people to turn on their cameras. And the reason is just like that with David. Number one, his background is telling me something. And number two is then I can see his body reactions. We're humans. We're designed to decode, right, people's body language. And so when I can see or hear things, then it's a real help to me as the presenter, right? Things simple as head nods, right? Or I'm confused, or what's he talking about? Or, all sorts of other things. Linda Carter said she can read lips. Linda Carter, right? You might actually be Wonder Woman in my book. I know you've never heard that joke, Linda. Okay, thank you for that. So the next one is and here on Zoom, is that even though you're spotlighted, you can actually override as the speaker and say view gallery. View gallery, so you can see everybody, but the audience like this right now, ideally you should be seeing me. And so that's something for you to know, and something that we work with all of our presenters is working to see the audience. The W that we have is about being welcoming. And so first, as you can tell, Susan and I, as soon as you came on, we're saying good morning to people, we're saying hello, we're hitting the chats, we acknowledge where you're logging in from. And so welcoming is a key piece. And I want to tell you a key phrase here. Is it Tejas? Tejas? Feel free to unmute.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. How do you pronounce your name?
Tejas.
Tejas. And where are you calling in from today?
From New York.
Oh, from New York. Manhattan or upstate?
Actually, Jersey.
You're a Jersey boy. Okay, I got it.
Jersey Shore, yeah.
So one of the key beliefs that I have, Tejas, is the first 5 minutes of your virtual meeting are the most important. I'll say that again. The first 5 minutes of your virtual meeting are the most important. Tejas, why do you think that might be?
I think the first 5 minutes set off a good presentation. It gives you the overview of what's going to be discussed, the high level points of what we're going to discuss, what we're plan to communicate either verbally, non-verbally, or through written communication, that what we want to accomplish. And then basically from that be able to gather our core, either do requirement gathering or be able to draw our diagrams, and so be able to innovate on together. And that idea decides the first 5 minutes of organizing a meeting, of the core requirements that we want to gather from the meeting, and ensure we did that.
So Tejas, today in the first 5 minutes, what are a couple words that you might use to describe your first 5 minutes here today?
I love the hearts. I love the heart. That was amazing. The fact that they filled the room with a lot of care, and so I like that. I love that. That we come together and we try to spread love as much as possible. So I love that part. Yeah.
You can tell Tejas is a little bit of a lover, not a fighter, right? Okay, everyone, do me a favor. Go to reactions and click hearts as many times as possible for Tejas. He really liked this. Watch this. Let's see how big a flood that we can make. Can you see that? Here, wait. I've got a song. Ready? I got a song for this. Anybody?
Thank
Somebody to There we go, Dave.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That was sweet. That was good. That does all the work.
So, Tejas, what's something that you do to welcome people into your virtual meetings?
From I'm actually in my earning my doctorate of business administration.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. So one of the things that we want to level set is the core of what is being achieved. We want to organize ourselves as much as possible. And we want to make sure that everybody's cared for, that we're caring for our client or end client. We care for our speakers as well, and show that the clients that we care about them, and we want to value their time and opinion, and decide the objectives of what we're going to achieve, how we're going to achieve it,
Yep.
see if we achieved it or not, and then functionally decipher the core segments of our achievables, and see if those tasks have been met or not. So try to organize yourself.
Tejas, what PhD teaches caring?
The PhD, actually, the doctorate of business administration, the core of the fundamentals is that if you don't show care, if you don't show love, or you spread love, then it's an immense mistake. It's a huge mistake right off the bat. So if you don't show love, and it's detrimental. It could be detrimental. So to avoid that, what you do is you show love, and the more love you show, the greater the meeting will be, the virtual meeting will be.
So I'm going to recommend a book for you called it's Love is the Killer App.
Yeah.
It's by Tim Sanders, and I've made good friends with Tim Sanders. He's been one of my mentors in my life, and if you are in that, he like you believes that love is a key strategic piece, right, to business. So
yeah, I think is the most important thing. Love and innovation is the key. So definitely and then oneness, being able to obsess about value. CPOA talks a lot about that as well. So with teams, collaboration includes that. Just make sure you care about each other. That your team is actually an extension of the client themselves. So yes. You try to care about them, and it's that. Yeah.
Thank you, Tejas. All right, everyone, click one more time. Reactions heart for Tejas. Thank you, Tejas.
Thank you. I'll return that as well. Thank you so much.
As you can tell, too, these things are not planned. These are all things. This is my authenticity back to you, right? This is why I engage people in the audience like that, which gets us actually to our next point. We are to E. And the E says engage. If you want engagement, engage your audience. Find all the different ways you can do it. Bring them on camera, right? Invite them to panelists. Even if the platform may or may not encourage it, there are different ways around this. So I actually found this tip in webinar from my good friends called Daybreaker. Daybreaker.com came about from a woman named her last name is Agarwal. Radha Agarwal. And she loved dancing, and she loved the nightclub scene, but she didn't love the drugs and the drinking. So she created a morning dance party. So it's like you get up and you'll find a place, and they actually like sometimes rent, places like nightclubs, but you get there at 6 o'clock. And they'll do like something like yoga from 6 to 7, and then from 7 to 8, it's a full-blown dance party. And she's got this immense following. And when the pandemic hit, of course, they had to stop all their live events. So they started running them on Zoom, and they broke Zoom multiple times. They had something like 10,000 attendees on one of their virtual meetings. And one of the things that they do is they'll promote up to 300 people from the audience into the panelists, and then they'll actually make them and use them as their background. So they would be dancing in front of 50 people at a time, right, as part of their background. It was really extraordinary. And so it just tells you, if you want engagement, that you need to engage. So now I'm going to do a little something here. If you're an attendee, I know you may not want to come on camera, that's fine, but I'd like one of the attendees, if you're willing to come talk with me for a few minutes. As you can tell, right, Tejas talked with me. He didn't get harmed. He's feeling the love. Yeah, raise your hand. All right, Therese Tari, you are the first. I'm going to click a button called Allow to Talk. Tari, are you there?
I am here. Yep,
Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm
Where are you
leaving
calling in from today?
Amsterdam in 4 days, and you guys are my last webinar for the week.
Last webinar for the week. Wait, it's Tuesday. Where are you going?
Yeah, I have stuff to do. Got to get ready. Got to pack. Got to shop. Got to, clean the house, mow the yard. That kind of stuff.
So where are you calling in from?
I'm north of Seattle in Everett, Washington.
You're in Everett? You're literally a few miles from my house right now. That's so great.
There.
Oh, I hope that we get a chance to connect. In this case, we're talking about engagement. So I'm curious, what was like the best example of engagement you've seen on virtual in the last 3 years?
Well, I would say probably I learned that sometimes at the beginning of the meeting, you can ask people what do they want to get out of the meeting, which I think is awesome because that helps you figure out where people's headspace is. Like you have to know what it gives you an idea of what they're looking for from you, basically. And I never really thought about checking in with where people are before starting my meeting. Usually I'm just by the books. Let's start the meeting. Let's go. I mean, after introductions, of course, but.
Susan said the same thing, right? Like some people just jump into like you say the word business and business analyst and it's like get to business, right? But I think for us as humans, that's so important, right? I also want to reiterate Tejas's point, right? Having an agenda at the beginning of the meeting is like one of the top tips too, to orient people like this is why you're here, this is what you're going to do. But Christiane, you give me a great point. I actually want everyone to go to chat and chat whenever you want. Chat, what mood or mode are you in now? What mood or mode are you in now? So here, I typed, I'm interested, right? I'm interested in what Christiane said. Hungry? Hedvig said hungry. Adafunk said pumped. Sheila says, I got my game face on. Linda's in chill mode. These are great. Belinda is interested in hangry. And Belinda, go get a snack for crying out loud and then come back. Wow, Shawnette, stretched thin, stressed. Christiane, do any of these words resonate with you?
Yes, I think that's what we need to expect when we are the speaker at a virtual meeting, that we would like people to behave like a class, focusing on what we're saying, but in reality, it's not like that.
Outstanding. And then let's bring in Sheila. Hi, Sheila. This is John. Can you hear me?
Hi, John. Yes, I can hear you clearly.
And what do you think about these words?
Well, based on the chat that I'm seeing, well, looks like our attendees are mostly on the mood to, to engage with us in our discussions. Yeah, that's what I can observe.
Perfect. Thank you, Sheila. Terry, back to you then, Terry. So hopefully, here's the best part about what Terry just gave us, right? One is you can do a check-in. Number two, you can do a check-in with 200 of your closest friends in under 2 minutes. Right? So that's how easy. This is what I call chat. Chat is the second most engaging tool on virtual because it is the one place everyone can talk at the same time. Right? And so, Tari, do you have any other closing words or closing examples for us about engaging your audience?
I do not have any further words about engaging the audience.
What's the best thing you got out of today's program so far?
It's kind of like a reminder, the welcoming, acknowledging, where you come from. And I'm really appreciating the little resources you're giving, like Chatterfall and Google Aristotle and things like that.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much, Terry. And hopefully I'll see you in Everett in a few minutes.
Thanks.
Just kidding. All right, excellent. If you can, let's give Terry some love here. Hit the reactions, right? Hit reactions, and there's some hearts. There's some horns for you. So the next piece now, where that E is engage. The R is reciprocity. R is reciprocity. Let's see. If you are here, up here with me, let's see. Colin Glass, are you there? Thank you.
I'm here.
Oh, there. How you doing, Colin?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fantastic. Let's bring you up. Oh, there we go. Excellent. Where are you calling in from, Colin?
I'm calling in from Winnipeg, Canada.
Oh, one of our Canadians. I'm so glad that we got one of our Canadians in the house. What's happening in Winnipeg today?
Not much.
You Canadians party hard. I just want to let you know that, Colin.
No snow. No snow.
No snow. Oh, that is an event. That is truly an event. So when I say the word reciprocity, Colin, what do you think that means?
Your audience gives back.
Yeah, it's simple. What you give to your audience, you get back. So for all of you, again, who are trainers, speakers, right, presenters, facilitators, whatever you give to the audience, you get back. And so this is, to me, one of the most important things to do is to make sure that once you get online, that you are fully present, right? Because if you're fully present, then your audience will engage with you, right? If you're energetic, you get energy back. But if you're sleepy, your audience is tired. If you're angry, your audience will get mad, right? So all of those things. So Colin, what's something that you do to prepare yourself if you're going to like teach a class or lead a group meeting?
I just have to get myself pumped up.
Yeah, well, what do you do? Like, what do you listen to music?
You listen to music.
Oh yeah, really? What's your favorite song?
Oh, jeez. You'd ask me that. Pump It Up by Elvis Presley and the Elvis Costello and the Attractions.
Oh my gosh, you love Pump It Up?
Sure.
Let's see. Hold on a second. I do have it here somewhere. I love Elvis Costello. I love that you love Elvis Costello.
It's funny you asked me that because a friend of mine asked me that. What's your favorite song? Because we'll play it. Because I'm involved with some streaming services.
Oh, you are?
Like video streaming.
Oh. What video streaming service is that?
It's called Meet Me.
What is that? Actually, I don't know Meet Me. I'm surprised. I know almost all the platforms.
Oh, it's half associated with dating services and it's half associated with just streaming.
Yes.
So people have their own streams and have particular content. So the stream I participate in is music mostly. So he tries to have themes every so often. So his next theme is, people play their favorite songs. So you'd ask me that.
Yeah, excellent. Oh, and that's so funny. I was so close to having this on here, and now my Wi-Fi has died on my side. This is why I shouldn't be doing technical tricks with you. I should just use no tech. I would thought you were going to name a Canadian band that would have been like Rush, Bryan Adams, right? There's all of those inside of there. So in reciprocity too, Colin, I don't know if you have any great examples, right? Great examples of like over the past couple years of like if you gave something to the audience, what did they give back to you? Here, I'll give you an example, Colin. In one of my programs, we had all the virtual people were online in a hybrid conference.
Right.
And we were all about to jump off and go to the next session when all of a sudden we discovered, all right, the organizers in the in-person hybrid conference canceled the next session. And it's called 5 minutes or fewer, where they engage the audience, where they let the audience present something like a business analyst tip in 5 minutes, right? And then all of a sudden the virtual people came on and they said, hey, wait a minute, I was supposed to present with that. I have a 5-minute tip. Does somebody want to hear that? And Colin, what happened next was the best 60 minutes of virtual in the last 3 years. Because what happened is after somebody gave a 5-minute tip, somebody else gave another 5-minute tip. And we kept going and went on for an hour straight, Colin. And halfway through, I texted the organizer who was in the in-person event. I said, you got to log on. You got to see what's happening. And he completely blown up. And so in the end of it, he goes, shoot, I designed this whole conference worrying all the time about the virtual people having FOMO, or the fear of missing out for the in-person audience. He goes, now I got to deal with reverse FOMO, where the virtual is so good, I have to worry about the in-person people missing out. So I don't know if you have any examples that are like that.
No. I don't do too many presentations, so.
What do you do? What do you do inside of the field?
Well, I'm a systems analyst, but they say at work that I'm more like a business analyst because I talk in business terms rather than IT terms.
Aha. Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Well, here, Colin, since let's pretend like you're getting ready to get on stage. Here, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to pump it up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2. There we go. I found it. Elvis Costello and the Attractions. Thanks again, Colin.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. So that's reciprocity. What you give is what you get. Really think about in your next presentation, what state are you in? Right? Like Terry asked, what state is everybody else in? But you should ask the most important question is, what state are you in? And is that the best state that you can be in for that presentation? So to close up here, I've got one more point, but just do me a favor. Out of curiosity, with a show of virtual hands, so again, click reactions and raise hands, right? How many people here felt that they gained something really, really valuable? Go ahead and click reactions, raise hands. There we go. Oh, good. Quite a few of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Sheila, Joel, Dennis, Shawnette. Excellent. So what I want to do is just one of the best ways you can pay me back. If you can take a less than 2-minute survey and fill out this very, very easy survey, right? All you got to do is click the link. Oh, here, I'm going to give you a link in the chat. There you go. You can click the link, or you can take your phone out, turn on the phone app, and you can scan this little QR code. Put in this code EVM for Engaging Virtual Meetings, and complete the survey. When you complete the survey, you're going to get a free ticket to my Engaging conference. 3 days of this, 10 speakers, October 23rd through 25th, over 20 hours of training, of which I think you can clock most of them as hours. I want to know what you liked about my presentation so I can do more of it. I want to know what I can do better to make this even better for each of you. So, because I'm on this mission, I got to get this message out to as many people as possible to end boring meetings, right? Meetings should be like this. And look how I've used very little tech. This is probably the only piece of other tech that I used here today, is to just show you this QR code. And when folks like you give me feedback, that's exactly how I do it. So do me a favor, just take the next 2 minutes, scan the QR code, let me know when you're done. Just chat the word done into the chat. And when you finish that, I'll leave you with one final thought. And I'm going to use our friends' Pump It Up song here. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Farida. Farida, you got to tell me where you're logging in from. Thank you, Linda. Farida, Hamilton, Canada. Fantastic. Wonder if it's like Hamilton the musical. Thank you, good on. And glad that you found the checkbox. That's very cool. Andre from Johannesburg. Nicole Sagita. Excellent. Katrina. You can keep going. I'm going to finish up here. Outstanding. All right. So again, one last time here for anybody who missed the chat. So I'm going to close with this. You know, I have one more letter to do. And that's S, storytelling. By the way, if you stay here to the end, I have a whole bunch of gifts for you too. So storytelling, too, right? Susan let me know that storytelling is one of your core skills that you have as part of IIBA. As you can tell today, where I look at things that happen to me in my life and I categorize them into stories that I can use later for key teaching points. And so storytelling, watch how the aspects of the story go on. The way that you tell a story can be even more powerful than the data that you're presenting, because people will remember it. So I'm going to share Elizabeth Gilbert, top story. This is an abridged, my personal version of it. But she was so key in using storytelling to make her program so engaging. And I asked her how she did it at the end, and she goes, this story is like a finely turned stone. That she has told this story over 10,000 times. She knows almost exactly, like she didn't even have to have cameras on. She would know when people laugh, when people got it. But that's how you should think about some of your stories. So in this closing story, it's like this. She has one of her family member got invited to a royal costume party. Royal costume party. And so he gets so inspired because one of Elizabeth Gilbert's points too is do art you love, right? Not that somebody else is going to like or love, but do stuff you love. And so he got into it and he goes, I'm going to be a lobster. So he gets a red leotard, right? And he starts making foam claws, right? He has the arms that are coming out and they're articulated. So when he moves his arms, all the other lobster arms move. And so he's so proud of this costume, right? It's got the antenna, everything else is on side of there. And he's finally ready for that. So he gets a taxi cab to the place. And he drives up, and it's one of those massive castles. You know what I'm talking about? It's like really wide across, lots of windows. And he drives up, and the servant, of course, opens the door. All right. And he opens the door, and he walks up to the front door. And then he suddenly realized he made a colossal mistake. This is a Renaissance costume party. Not a costume party. People are in powdered wigs. They have canes. They have those beautiful, Victorian or whatever, all right, legs with poofy pieces on it. Women have the beautiful dresses on. And he suddenly realized he's dressed for the wrong party. And he has to make a decision. And the decision is, do I run? Or do I enter this party? And finally, in his head, he says, I worked really hard on this costume. I'm just going to go in. Right? I at least have to try to go in. So he gets in, and it's those beautiful staircases, those double staircases that go down. So he's walking down the staircase, and it's like a movie. Like the record scratch, the band stops playing, and every royalty in the room looks up at the stairs as this lobster walks down the stairs. The lobster finally reaches the bottom of the stairs. And the Queen of Brazil comes up to him and goes, "Who are you?" And he looks her straight in the eye and he goes, "Well, I'm the court lobster, of course." And the music starts playing. And all of a sudden, this guy becomes the star of the party. Every royalty wants to get their picture with the court lobster. So I just want to leave you with this. I left you with 8 things that will empower your next workshop. I hope I've demonstrated them to the point that you know that you can do it yourself too. And number 3, make virtual meetings like art so that you love it. Because the odds are, if you love it, your audience will too. I want to say thank you. Susan can come back up. I'm going to give you a bunch of gifts. You can meet with me here on my next programs. Here's a speaker checklist. This is all the equipment that I'm using. Here's a really good one. The first 3 chapters of my book, right? And if you want to connect with me here on LinkedIn or join my 1,500-person Facebook group of people all really passionate around virtual meetings, you can feel free to do that. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to the one and only Susan Moore.
Mind blown. Hopefully somebody can find that emoji and put that in chat. This has been fantastic. Really, John. Thank you so much for today. Lots of engagement online. Terry had asked, is there any way that we can get the chat log out as part of the follow-up? Let me check on that. Thank you, Crystal, for the mind blown emoji. Because there's lots of good stuff that was going on in chat in addition to the giveaways and the gifts from today. John, I cannot thank you enough. I think this has been exactly the kind of thing that can help business analysis professionals get out of that virtual meeting rut. So, and we've actually seen it in action, which is even better.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I do believe this program has been recorded. Susan will let you know how it will be shared. And the last thing I put in there is a Word document. That is the handout. It has the 8 points that you can use as a workshop with that. Thank you, everybody who did fill out the survey, too. We really keep... and then, Terry, yes, we'll keep the meeting up here for a few minutes. Those of you who need to go, feel free to log out. If you want to ask me a question, feel free to, again, here, I'm going to lower all the hands, and then you can raise them if you want. Hold on. There we go. And if you have any additional questions and you want to stay a few minutes, I can stay a few minutes, Susan, if you can, too.
Yes, I can. And I know some folks are having a tough time getting some things out of chat. Don't worry. I'll make sure that any of the links that you've shared or the document that you've shared, I will make sure that that we get that out to everybody. So don't worry. You'll get the recording in 24 hours, which may seem like an eternity given how much I can tell people want to go back and refer to this recording, but I promise we will get that to you guys soon. Okay.
Okay, let's try. Joel Myers, are you there? Let's see, Joel. Let's see. Put down here a mic. There you go, Joel. Can you hear us? This is going to be like the Susan the call-in portion. We're here at IIBA. We've got our call-ups here.
That's
okay. How about Dennis? Dennis, are you there? Dennis, I've clicked.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, how you doing, Dennis?
Good.
What'd you think of today's program?
I really enjoyed it. Lots of good tips. I really did enjoy it.
Thank you so much. Where are you calling in from, Dennis?
Citrus Heights, California, a suburb of Sacramento.
Yeah, my hometown is Stockton, California, Dennis.
Okay, just down the street.
That's right. You got a question for me, Dennis? Go ahead.
No, I don't have any questions. I just really enjoyed your presentation. Lots of it was really engaging.
Yeah, thank you so much. Timothy, too, by the way, he asked him, what's the link? The link is, Tim, if you want to book a meeting with me, I'll meet with any IIBA member for up to 30 minutes if you are want to discuss your strategy for virtual meetings, if you want to just learn a little bit more about behind the scenes, anything else like that. So that's my offer back to you, IIBA people. Here's a good one, too, Susan. As part of my conference, when you hit VIP, you get a year's worth of text and email access to me. The last time, one of my friends spent 8 hours trying to fix something in Zoom, and I fixed it in 12 seconds.
I feel like Zoom keeps coming up with new features, so I totally believe that is happening.
Well, there's a new update right now that I did not install before this talk.
I know, because that's always when they want you to install it. It's right before you've got to be someplace important doing something that you've planned.
Outstanding. How about so many of our panelists that are here up with us? Let's see. We got Christiane, Colin, Joel, and Tejas, our rock stars for us. Thank you so much. If you want to come on camera, you can feel free to say hello. Christiane, there we go. Christiane, now that we're at, Christiane, we're at the end of the program. Do we have any comments from you? What did you love about today?
I'll have to think about it. I'm going to read my notes again. And I've realized that when when I teach, I emulate the teachers that I know from school, and I don't have to, but the option is to change my style and use another mood than that. What I did in the past was I was working like a teacher and making sure that I was clear to the audience. And now you've shown us another way to do it. And the conclusion is speak like a DJ.
Well, thank you for that question, Christiane. You'll be getting a ticket to your favorite concert. Let's say it's YouTube right now. Thank you for being a caller here on the show.
We're going to take that away. KIIBA. That's our new radio call sign. Thanks, John.
You're welcome for that. Thank you again, Christiane. Appreciate it. Thank you for
Good to see you, Christiane.
Bye, Susan. Thanks.
Bye.
Susan, it's so amazing you have so many international members, right? So that's kudos to you and your organization. What do you think is the international draw? Because I love the amount of diversity that we had on today's call.
You know, I think there's business analysis that is done all over the world. And I think a lot of our members, they just want to be part of something that is what they do, but is also bigger than themselves. So I think that's why we've got such an international audience. And, you know, part of what we do, we are professional learners. So I think there's a real interest in continuing to evolve our skills, learn something new, see what's going on, and just meeting new people. So,
yeah. Okay, well, like Dennis
said, they're great people.
There are great people. I will attest to that on my side, especially because I just met them. Dennis asked, what is the weirdest background you have ever seen in one of your meetings? Susan, do you have an answer for that? Everyone else, feel free to chat that is still here with us. Weirdest
background. Somebody had created this virtual background that was a hot tub with two Star Wars stormtroopers, and they fit in the middle, so it looked like they were in the hot tub together. And I was like, why? How about you?
You know, what's really one of the weirdest, and it was kind of like the best and the worst all at the same time, was that somebody came in and they really had what looked like an episode of Hoarders.
Oh,
right. You know, there was stuff everywhere in this office, but then when you started looking for it, it was really amazing. There were things like I was able to pick out a bunch of stuff. Like now I knew he was a pilot. He had, you know, like a stack of pilot aviation, you know, like with Cessnas on the cover magazines. He also had a whole collection of Porsche, right, magazines, like magazines about cars and Porsches. And so it was really phenomenal, though, in that way, where by having all the stuff, normally that is not a background I would have said to use, but because it actually had interesting stuff in it, I said use it. So here's another tip for those who are still listening, is that when you see somebody with a bookshelf, by the way, bookshelves are pretty good, right? They're pretty high on the positive list, is that as a teacher, ask them to pull a random book out of the bookshelf and turn it to a random page and read one random paragraph. And it's really always interesting. It's very insightful, Susan, about what book do they pick, right? Or what paragraph comes out. And in the end, it always turns into something engaging when you ask to do that. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that idea, I mean, you made the point of basically with these virtual meetings, we're allowing each other into our homes. And so, you know, when you do that, you know, I know that we have pets and kids and family members and things going on back here. Like, don't just ignore that or get annoyed by it. Like, you're really learning something about that person because they are sharing part of their lives with you. So I really like that point because I think it's so powerful. We are people working at home.
Yes. My other reference for this, Susan, is the book Blink. Have you ever read Malcolm Gladwell's?
You know what? I have read this. Yes.
Yeah. So what Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink, and this is great for business analysts because it says that as an analyst, one of the things you do is you take your lifetime of experience and that you can make snap judgments. And those snap judgments, for the most part, are correct. Right. And so what we do is we snap judge people's background. So people like Susan, what do you see in my background now that you've been looking through it the whole program? I'm just curious what you see.
I see some awards. I see your books, but I also see a sword in the corner.
That one, it gets a lot of attention if people don't know, right? And here's the story.
Yeah.
So that is a Tai Chi sword from China that I acquired during a roots trip where I took my kids back to the village where their great grandfather grew up.
How about
So,
that?
so that sword is important. Actually, recently too, I actually hung it up here, so it's now like in more in a hanging position. It looks better, but that's where it currently is. So yeah, so what I'm saying is that people make snap judgments about your backgrounds all the time. Like I see yours, Campbell soup, so I know it's a little bit of what Andy Warhol, and then your pillow, right? What is it? I like big and
I like big mutts and I cannot lie.
you know, it's funny too, right? Do you know which artist that is?
That is Sir Mix-a-Lot,
Do you know what city he comes from?
Stockton, California.
Seattle.
Seattle? I had no idea.
Sir Mix-a-Lot was one of the first big rap stars to be discovered from Seattle, way before Macklemore. Macklemore sits on his shoulders. That's right.
How about that?
Yeah, Sir
Very
Mix-a-Lot.
cool.
So, all right, and Vladislav asks, are you planning to attend the World Agility Forum in 2023? Susan, I don't know. Am I invited?
You can certainly attend. I don't know where that is, but you might look into that.
This is not one of your events?
No, that's not one of our events.
Is this an industry event?
It seems like it is an agile industry event. Yeah.
Okay, looking World Agility.
Something to look into.
Okay, here we're watching. So now I can do technical tricks that way at the end here. By the way, yeah, again, I was committed to this program to not use technical tricks, right? Because that's really what Elizabeth was doing. So
this is the one that is in Portugal. Yeah.
Oh.
Sometimes we do have folks from IIBA going.
Yeah.
I feel like we do have somebody from IIBA going this year, but
right.
Susan, I think that's the event where Fabrizio is going.
Fabrizio is going. I was like, I feel like I just heard about somebody going. Okay, so there you go. Fabrizio Laguna, who's our senior advisor here, he will be there. So Vladislav, if you are headed there, say hi to Fabrizio.
There we go. All right. I think we're here almost ready to close up. Susan, you have any final thoughts or words for today?
First of all, you guys, if you're an IIBA member, you have free access to both of these books. So if you want to dig more into the techniques that John is talking about, you've got access to that. We'll make sure that you have links to both of those. But those books are also available through Amazon or your online book retailer of choice. This is just a preview of what you can find there.
This is just a preview, and I hope that I get invited back, Susan. I'd love to present here or at one of your conferences.
Yeah.
And here, wait a second. You're here. Hold on. Let's see if I can do this. You're here. Let's just take a look. I just want to see if I can give a little instant feedback today. Let's find out if I got the right one. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, this is pretty good. Okay, here we go. Ready? Here, watch this. I can do a drum roll. I've been waiting years to do this. Come on, drum roll. Ready? And there we go. 98% found this valuable. 98% want to see me here speak again. 98% engaging, 97.4 interactive, 96.7 action and inspiring. Hey, friend. This is an amazing session that reminds us how to be the best we can be, how to make virtual sessions fun, and to influence the audience to engage. So I'll make sure and be sending these to you, Susan. So with that, I want to say thank you to you and your amazing audience, and I look forward to the next time we can come and visit.
Yeah, thank you, John. We will be back in touch. Thanks, everybody. We look forward to seeing you guys again.
Cheers.